New York Red Bulls 2 back at a renovated Montclair State University soccer park versus the Charlotte Independents in USL action, coming at you right now. Welcome you to as perfect a soccer evening as we could possibly have. We forgot what this kind of weather looks like. Bob Gallerstein with former Major League Soccer All-Star Steve Jolly with the Metro Stars and with the New York Red Bulls. And Steve, I'm still breathing fresh air after this great soccer atmosphere. Fans are showing up at the renovated MSU Soccer Park after Red Bull 2 played the first 2 months at Red Bull Arena. And it's got to have a sense of home now for the Red Bulls that they're back in their own park.
I couldn't agree with you more, Bob. It's an absolutely fantastic day for soccer. New field, new facility to some degree, and we've got a talented international team that's coming in here today to play this Red Bull team.
Charlotte Independents come into today's action fourth in the Eastern Conference, and one player that we really have to pay attention to is Jorge Herrera, who was the star last year when Charlotte came into Montclair State, had a goal and an assist in Charlotte's win over Red Bulls 2.
Well, Herrera is a talented technical midfielder who we obviously have to keep an eye on. 5 goals and 2 assists so far here in the USL season.
And for the New York Red Bulls 2, keep an eye on this fellow, Brian White, who is a professional rookie who saw his first call up to the first team just a couple of weeks ago. And Brian White showed tremendous offensive skill in his first game with Red Bulls 2 this past March.
No question. Brian White is definitely a player that we're looking at. Duke, former All-American, first-round pick. Jesse Marsh is really excited about this young player.
Fans are rising for the national anthem. We will have the opening kick in just a minute from Montclair State University. Red Bulls 2 hosting Charlotte. You're watching the USL.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health, life years ahead.
We welcome you back to the renovated MSU Soccer Park, and we say renovated because they had to make the park D2 compliant, so the seating capacity now is 5,000 fans, and we're getting a pretty big crowd here for the first game of Red Bulls 2 at MSU Soccer Park. For the Charlotte Independents, starting in goal, Andrew Dykstra, who's one of 4 Colorado Rapids players under contract who are playing for Charlotte. We'll get to that later on in our telecast. Lee Jung-soo, one of the defenders, along with Joel Johnson, Javon Watson, Sam Vines. Midfielder, Ian Ekra, Key Foster, Kevon George, Cordell Cato, and Alex Martinez. And at forward, as we spoke about, Jorge Herrera, that is, and the head coach of Charlotte is Mike Jeffries. For the New York Red Bulls, too, Evan Laurel, who's been terrific in goal, will be starting for Red Bull. Defenders, Nico De Vera, Kevin Pollitt, Swahib Akwai, and Jordan Bayan. And the midfielder, Chris Lima, Christian Caceres Jr., Jose Aganaga. At forward, Armando Marino, Brian White, and Jared Stroud. And the head coach for New York Red Bull 2, your former teammate, John Wolyniec, who has done an incredible job of getting the players ready for the first team. Not only one or two, but you're talking about a boatload of players who hit the ground running when they play for the first team.
A lot of young players, and John Wolyniec is definitely going to have to deal with that. We're seeing Mike Jeffries right now. There's an experienced ex-MLS coach, and he has an experienced team that comes here to this stadium tonight at Montclair State. Talented team, internationally based, and coming off 4 consecutive league wins.
Mike Jeffries, you mentioned he's a former MLS head coach. He was with the Dallas Burn, and he reached the playoffs, the MLS playoffs, in each of his first 2 seasons, and was nominated for MLS Coach of the Year in 2002. Charlotte Independence, a team that pretty much is in and of itself, as the ball is kicked out of bounds, and it should be a Red Bulls throw-in. As they're down the road, want to develop an academy. The model of the academies in Major League Soccer and USL Soccer is what you see right here. Red Bulls 2 on the throw-in. And it's controlled by Charlotte. Red Bull 2 attempting the press in there is Chris Lima. Joel Johnson trying to clear. Red Bull 2 press successful so far. Jordan Bayan with the throw-in. This is Jordan Bayan, number 58, his pro debut. Talk about somebody who has an incredible future. He has committed to Dartmouth, so he has the smarts there. And you look at someone like Jordan Bayan, and you can't help think of some of the other great players in the last 2-3 years who've come up through the academy to Red Bull 2 and also the first team. You have to think that Jordan Bayan could happen to be in that group. You know, I'm thinking Tyler Adams and people like that.
Well, it's a long list. It's a long list indeed, Bob. And yes, Bayan is a talented young player, a big player. Started with the under-19 team, and now today he's getting his first start, and I'm sure he's quite excited to be on the pitch today.
Going far side for Red Bull 2, Nico De Vera had some great comments about the Red Bull's success in the U.S. Open Cup. And a big reason for that is the graduates of Red Bull 2, Hassan and Dom, who's up at the first team today. Red Bulls in the 88th minute were tied with Columbus. And another graduate of Red Bull 2, Alex Muil, with the equalizer for Red Bulls. So many players. I mean, we're redundant when we say so many players have come to the first team. And for Red Bull 2, in control, Armando Marino. In the box, looking right side, Christian Caceres Jr. And we're going to get a set piece first of the game, corner kick for Red Bulls 2.
Well, a good opportunity here on top of the box. Marino controls the ball. Good little turn there. Space has opened it up. Good defensive play to just put it out there for the corner kick. And again, you know, we're only in the first 2.5 minutes. And as I spoke to John Wolyniec before the game, he said he was just going to try to press as much as possible and as early as possible and try to get on the score line and try to lead this game going forward right from the opening whistle.
Yeah, from what I've seen from Red Bull 2 when the franchise first started in 2015, USL teams have more trouble controlling the press than Major League Soccer teams.
Well, you know, you have a system here at Red Bull where, you know, from the first team to this USL team, and also, you know, look at all the academy teams as well. You know, there is a system, a defined system that the team likes to play. So when you're a player here at Red Bull, you know exactly what your role and responsibility is when you step on the field.
Jose Aganaga with the header just went wide. So Charlotte Independence will try to muster their first offensive thrust of the game. And quickly upfield, Alex Martinez. Sam Vines in the box. Johnny on the spot, Christian Caceres Jr., and he kicks it out of trouble.
Caceres stepping in exactly where you need to be, top of the box. wasn't too cute about it. Was in a good space and just wanted to clear it out and kind of defer the pressure right now.
Of the starting 11 for Red Bull 2 today, would you say that Caceres might have the most upside of virtually anyone?
Well, it's hard to say. Obviously, there's a lot of talent in Caceres, but I mean, don't underestimate this young Duke product in white. There has been a lot of talk about. I think Jesse Marsh really likes his size. He's very mobile. Doesn't mind kind of positioning himself really high on the flat back forward defenders and getting behind the ball. But this Brian White is a talented ACC product who could be have some really good opportunities with the first team very soon.
Lee Jung-soo, number 14, sending it ahead. Racing for the ball. And just missing was Jorge Herrera, who had a step on his defender. And this will be a set piece for Charlotte. Sending it in. Sam Vines, one of the two starters for Charlotte, who is under contract to Colorado. The others are Caleb Calvert and Donnie Smith. Evan Laurel probably give a good boot here, sends it to the far side of the field. See what the press can do for Red Bull 2. Caceres Jr. And Charlotte will look to regroup. There's Brian White trying to steal the ball. Press working so far for Red Bull 2. Kevin Politz, who has seen some action for the first team, sends it ahead. For Nico De Vera. Nico De Vera, defender number 40. One of the things that he said for the Red Bull's success in the U.S. Open Cup, the 4-0 win over New York City FC, because you had so many players who can hit the ground running, is one of the reasons why, which was an academy-filled New York Red Bull 2-filled first team earlier in the week, and they were able to demolish New York City FC in the Open Cup.
Well, Bob, it's exactly what I spoke about just a second ago. When you play for this Red Bull, franchise, I guess is the best way of saying it. You know exactly what your role responsibility is when you step on the field. So when you're a left back like De Vera is today, you know exactly what you're asked to do on a given day. In his place, it's no different than what maybe a Kamar Lawrence did, today earlier at the Columbus Crew. You want to get the ball out wide. You want to try to provide some space for your midfielders, and you want to get forward as much as possible on that left-hand side.
Cordell Cano trying to go forward for Charlotte out of bounds, and Red Bulls 2 will control. And we have one of the best crowds is still filing in here at the MSU Soccer Park as the Red Bulls have returned to the renovated MSU Soccer Park. Red Bull 2 merchandise is available at MSU Soccer Park. Available only at the arena. Or should I say the soccer park. For the Red Bulls, Jordan Bayan sends it into the box. And it'll be snared there by Andrew Dykstra, the keeper for the Charlotte Independents. We're in the 8th minute, no score, USL action between the New York Red Bulls 2 and the Charlotte Independents. Red Bulls 2 coming off a rare home loss, and it was the last game at Red Bull Arena before the move here. A loss last week to Cincinnati, 2-1, and congratulations to FC Cincinnati for becoming the latest Major League Soccer expansion team, and they will enter the league next year. Incredible crowds there.
Well, most definitely. We were able to head there at the U.S. Open Cup last year where this Red Bull team got a great result in the semifinals against that Cincinnati team. I think there was something like 37,000 people, maybe even not more, on that specific day. A wonderful atmosphere, and kudos to the ownership group there in Cincinnati. They really kind of got that program to another level really quickly there.
Let's see if Red Bull 2 can get this game to another level. It was interesting, about a week or two after Red Bulls went into Cincinnati, beat them in the Open Cup semifinal. Cincinnati came here to MSU Soccer Park, and Red Bulls 2 beat them.
Yeah, it was a tough week for Cincinnati in that week last year.
Christian Caceres Jr. will race down the ball. See the skills of Caceres Jr. Out to Bayan. Another nice kick in the box, just a little bit too far for Brian White. He had so many opportunities in the home opener in March, and you could just tell once he got himself acclimated that he's going to be a goal-scoring machine. And not to say that maybe he'll get as many goals as Brandon Allen, who, by the way, is the USL Player of the Week. We'll get to that at halftime. A good old friend, Brandon Allen, who was on the championship team in 2016, now with Nashville. But Brian White has more mobility, as you mentioned, I think more upside than Brandon does.
Yeah, Brian has a bright future. As I mentioned, Jesse Marsh has spoken very highly of this young Duke product, and he is going to get a platform to, I think, to kind of take it to the next level, and it's up to him if he kind of grabs it by the horns.
Martinez, nice pass into the box. Herrera. Charlotte now with its most sustained offensive thrust. Let's see what they can do here. Cordell Cato. And in the corner it goes, and this will be possession for the Independents.
And this is a Red Bull team that has to keep an eye on a guy like Cato. Cato scored 3 out of the last 4 games, a talented player, along with Herrera and Martinez, and you've got obviously Ekra as well. Those are the 4 offensive-minded players here for this Charlotte team that defensively Red Bull is going to have to look at all time this entire 90 minutes.
Charlotte coming off a 1-0 win versus Ottawa Fury. And that halted Ottawa's 6-game unbeaten streak. Charlotte has vaulted itself to 4th in the Eastern Conference. It really, when you look at the top 9 teams in the Eastern Conference of the USL, 6 points separate them. So,
yeah,
it's typical USL. It's so incredibly competitive. And by the way, just a shout out to the USL, because when the USL essentially 2 years ago became de facto AAA league for Major League Soccer, with all the other independent teams coming in, the USL had to raise the bar, and boy, did they have an ever with sponsorships, the video, and everything. That the premier AAA league, I think, in all of North America. They've done a terrific job. So we tip our fedoras to the United Soccer League, and right now we're tipping our fedoras to both Charlotte and the Red Bulls. 0-0 here in the 11th minute at renovated Montclair State University Soccer Park. Crowd continues to file, and this has to be one of the largest, if not the largest crowd ever since Red Bull 2 began here in 2017. First 2 years played at Red Bull Arena for Red Bull 2. And now with D2 compliant, 5,000 seating capacity. Red Bull 2 in control. Racing after the ball, Jose Aguinaga. And that will be a goal kick. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com, and you can receive free shipping on orders over $50. And for the Charlotte Independents, Kevon George, and the press working again for Red Bull 2. The one-touch passing just outside the box. The boot, it just goes wide on a solid effort by Amando Moreno, who also has the potential to be a goal-scoring machine.
Well, no question, Moreno is very talented. 2016, he was invited to actually national team camp by Jurgen Klinsmann. Here's an opportunity on top of the box. Probably should have put it on frame. Obviously, that's the number one role and responsibility when trying to take a shot is to try to test the keeper. Haven't yet to test Dykstra tonight, and that was a good opportunity there by Moreno.
Yeah, so many fans wonder, why not put the ball on net? And people don't realize sometimes you're shooting for a corner here and there, and when you're shooting from outside the box, not necessarily easy said than done. By the way, from outside the box, the first goal in the second minute at the U.S. Open Cup game this past week, Red Bull 2 graduate Vincent Bezecourt, who I think has the most powerful leg in the entire organization.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I love the way he takes his free kicks and corner kicks. It's not a floating ball. It's a hard-driven ball that's very hard to defend.
How many goals has Vincent Bezecourt assisted on set pieces from the corner with Red Bull 2? And it is just a pleasure to watch him on the first team doing the same thing and get that goal in the Open Cup. But here in USL action, you're looking at a lot of players who are MLS players in the future. And let's see what we can do here for both teams. In control for Charlotte, Cordell Cato. Intercepted Johnny on the spot there. Red Bulls 2. Quick transition. Looking for Brian White. Intercepted Charlotte. One touch again for Caceres Jr. Now Bayan. He's getting a lot of touches there at right back. Ahead it goes a little bit too far, ensnared by Andrew Dykstra. Bion looks really composed for someone who's going to Dartmouth next year. So
yeah, for such a young player, it's so important, especially when your first start is something like today. You want to make sure you kind of take your time and keep your composure and make sure you connect passes early and often to gain some confidence. You know, he's playing against a guy like Martinez who's all over the place in terms of offensively. He'll position himself so many different ways. So he's going to have some time with the ball at his feet. So he wants to make sure that he kind of takes his time, connects the pass, put the ball to feet to the players, and more importantly, just kind of feel his groove here early in this game.
Yeah, Alex Martinez is a very crafty, very shifty midfielder and can be a very dominant force on offense. It'll be a Charlotte Independence throw-in. And this is Sam Vines. And for the Red Bulls, that's Jared Stroud who's complaining to officials on the field. Along with Martinez for Charlotte. Things are straightened out. And Martinez with the control of the throw-in. Look at the pass picked off. Red Bulls 2. Marino knocked aside beautifully, and this will be a Red Bull 2 throw-in.
A wonderful job defensively by De Vera to step up, win that ball, and pass it off to Moreno.
They seem to smell the passing lane so well.
Yeah, you can see De Vera wants to get forward, and he was already in a really good position. And now you can see him kind of controlling that left-hand side a little bit more now.
Red Bull 2 trying to set it up in the front of the box. Stroud, and it's knocked down in front. And just clearing out of danger at Charlotte, Joel Johnson. The Rebels 2 in control in the midfield. Bion, nice pass ahead. Christian Caceres Jr. loses control on a nice deflection by Ian Ekwa. And Ian Ekra, number 7, in control right now. And that'll be a foul on the Red Bulls, and it'll be Charlotte control. A foul on Christian Caceres Jr. Martinez double teamed. He'll pass it back. And Charlotte elects to have Andrew Dykstra, the keeper, give it a nice big boot, see if they can beat the press here. Not quite. Caceres Jr. Ahead for Chris Lima. Finds Aganaga. Pass did not have enough on it. Charlotte intercepts. Ekra looking left side. Martinez. One-on-one. Nice move. And left side finds Fosser. Pace of the game picking up here. We are in the 17th minute. Far side it goes, Joel Johnson. Into the box it goes, headed out by Red Bulls 2.
Good job defensively by Akwe to put that out. Good positioning. Wanted to make sure they just cleared it, make it simple.
And an injured Red Bull 2 player, that is Christian Caceres Jr., who apparently bumped into Kevon George in the midfield area. Looks like he's okay.
Well, one of the hallmarks of especially the Red Bull first team is, the counterattack and being efficient with the counterattack. More often than not, it's usually judged by getting the ball in the middle and then pushing it out wide to outside backs who like to get forward. Specifically today, we see guys like Bion and De Vera. We want to make sure that they get forward. But we're also going to be looking at guys like Moreno and Stroud. Stroud's definitely a player that I'm very much interested in watching. I didn't get to see much of his college career, but he had a great couple years there at Colgate and was able to bring Colgate to their first Sweet 16.
Congratulations to them. Speaking of countering, that's how teams try to beat Red Bull's first team.
Yeah,
with a
all
counter.
day, yeah.
And you have Red Bull's first team going to play the Philadelphia Union at Philadelphia, the next round of the U.S. Open Cup. You think the Union is going to bunker again?
Yeah, well, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, I had the opportunity last night to see Philadelphia Union against Toronto FC, and they really struggled against the Toronto FC that was even out with a couple key players.
Yeah, what is they so focused on the CONCACAF Champions League, as did the Red Bulls, but they really started slow in MLS action.
They were really slow, but you know,
Think they're recovering?
I think they're going to be okay. They've got a talented team, and I think they're going to be okay. It's just going to take them a little while, and we still got a lot of games left in Major League Soccer. So I wouldn't be shocked if you know, at the end of the day, it's all about getting into the playoffs, and Toronto knows that, and anything can happen when you get into the playoffs.
You know, Red Bulls 2 last year finished, I believe it was 8th in the Eastern Conference, and John Wolyniec had them into the semifinals. Run. I'll tell you this. You know, Wolyniec knows how to coach so well in the playoffs. He scored a goal in the Red Bulls' lone final appearance in 2008 in Major League Soccer Cup. And had they beaten Louisville in penalty kicks in the semifinals, I think they would have beaten Swope Park Rangers in the final last year for a second consecutive championship. You know, it's one thing that you want to get. You want to get hardware and learn how to win. And that's, you have 8 graduates. You look at the Red Bulls website, 8 graduates of the Red Bulls were on the team that played in the Open Cup 4 days ago. Yeah. Red Bulls 2, the championship team.
Well, as you're aware, John's an old teammate of mine, and I have nothing but respect for him as you know, when he was a professional and as a person and now as a coach. And I can assure you, still have my tentacles in Major League Soccer, and there's quite a few organizations that are keeping an eye on John Wolyniec's career right now because he's done an exceptional job. Talented coach.
Yeah, I would think he has a terrific coaching future. What he's done here. All right, the here and now is we're 0-0. Charlotte Independence and the New York Red Bulls 2. And Red Bulls 2 with the majority of possession. Charlotte with 1 or 2 offensive thrusts. Let's see what they can do here. Jorge Herrera. And it's stolen by Christian Caceres Jr. Wahib Akwi with the forward pass. And that'll be Charlotte possession. 21st minute.
And as kind of expected with the new facility and the new turf, both teams are kind of filling themselves out here in the first 20 minutes. And hopefully the game can settle down a little bit more. And more specific for this Red Bull team, they need to be a little bit better on the counterattack. There's been a couple times where Aji Naga has gotten the ball at his feet and hasn't done a great job in terms of connecting the passes on the final third. So hopefully he'll start settling himself down a little bit more.
Now, Steve, you mentioned the new turf. How much of an adjustment as the ball is snared by Evan Lauro, the keeper for the Red Bulls 2, how much of an adjustment is it for a player to go from the field turf like what we have here to natural grass back to field turf?
Yeah, and in talking to John Wolyniec before the game, we made mention of the fact that this is a different turf. It's a great turf, don't get me wrong, but it is different. I think the biggest thing that kind of John alluded to was the fact that it's so soft right now because it's so new, and it kind of takes some time for players to understand the bounces and how it runs. But it's a quick playing field, no question.
Nice one header by Jared Stroud. Red Bulls 2 in the box. And he's offside, way offside, was Armando Marino. Watch to get exclusive video content and photography from across the USL. Well, make sure to follow the league's official Instagram account at USL Soccer. USL Soccer all over the web. And congratulations, we mentioned that FC Cincinnati is going to be promoted to Major League Soccer. And now an expansion team, another expansion team for the USL. Albuquerque will be joining the USL.
You got a couple teams in USL right now. Nashville and obviously Cincinnati are taking the next step to Major League Soccer, and it's just absolutely wonderful to see the growth of Major League Soccer right now. To think about what it was back in the mid-'90s compared to now.
Oh, yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing to see.
I started with the organization second year in 1997, announcing the game, so it's been terrific what's happening here. What's happening here for Alex Martinez and Charlotte, into the box they go, in front a little bit too far. It was intended for Ekra.
Ooh.
And that is in the 23rd minute. A goal for the Charlotte Independence. And they strike first. Happened that quickly. Wasn't a sustained thrust, but it was quick, a transition, and we get the goal.
And you're going to see in this replay, you've got a player in Cato that you cannot leave alone this much. A little slow getting out, And every single time he's going to try to finish that one off. And here he finds the back post, and it was wide open. Lima's got to be a little bit better in terms of getting out there and committing his body to get in front of the ball. He's going to be very frustrated with himself that he didn't do a better job defensively, because Cato's way too good with the ball at his feet to leave him with that much time.
Cordell Cato with his 6th goal of the season. Has 7 points overall. Goal comes in the 23rd minute. So Charlotte Independence, who beat Red Bulls 2 here last year, have scored first and lead at 1-0. Almost tied 1-1. Terrific save by Andrew Dykstra. Back into the box it goes. And it's a goal! It looks like it was Amando Marino, and while talk about character for Red Bull 2, they didn't get down, and under 2 minutes later, in the 25th minute, we have a tie score.
Well, and just like that, you see how dangerous this Red Bull team can be. All credit to Stroud to keep the ball inside the box. And as we see in this replay, just a great job by this Red Bull team to come back after the goal. Good little save there by Dykstra. Stroud keeps it alive, pushes it back. And right there, get a nice little deflection, but Moreno finds himself, and you don't always have to be pretty with the ball, but he was quick with the ball and finds that near post and puts it past Dykstra to give this Red Bull team an even score line.
Would you say that would be a goal scorer's goal, because he was surrounded by 3 Charlotte players, and he found the net on the right side, and I think he might have caught Andrew Dykstra leaning the wrong way. Well, it's a character goal for New York Red Bulls, too, responding very quickly. Now, for Marino, it's his 6th goal. For Cato, who's his 6th goal, so it's almost like a can you top this? Well, you scored your 6th, I can score my 6th.
Exactly what John Woniak wants to see, a team that comes back from a goal and starts getting forward with a lot more confidence right now.
Ryan White is onside, sends it back, Aganaga. And this Red Bull 2 team can be really goal hungry. You know, sometimes they can be up by 1 or 2, and then you get into the 80th minute, and then they just pour it on.
Well, you can see, gets the ball wide, does a good job finding White, pushes it back to the 18. All it does is just finish it off, and unfortunate for there, Caceres, who wanted to get a little bit more of that, but a good job again for this Red Bull team to start pushing the ball a little bit forward. We're now in the 25th, 26th minute, and I think the game is starting to find some character now.
You can see that Caceres knew that he didn't
want
to get more.
Himself,
he looked skyward after that shot. For the Independents, Sam Vines could not control, and this will be Charlotte possession. Alec Martinez hands the ball off to Sam Vines. You know, one of the things we spoke with Mike Jeffries, the head coach for Charlotte, before the game, he said because there's a 2-hour time difference between Colorado and Charlotte, essentially the 4 players that are sent here by Colorado are here for the duration. Mm-hmm. A chance to develop, chance to acclimate themselves to professional soccer. Into the corner it goes, race for the ball. Joel Johnson, and this will be Charlotte possession.
Well, Charlotte is a unique kind of situation, you know, like it's completely different than what we have here with, you know, Red Bull 2. It's a new starting USL team, only been around for a couple years now, wonderfully led by Mike Jeffries, but it is an experienced, older team. You know, right there you saw a guy that's been in the league, Major League Soccer, for quite a long time, Watson, who last, I think, played for the New England Revolution, but he's a very senior player who's spent some time all over Major League Soccer between FC Dallas and New England Revolution.
You can kind of make an analogy. They want to develop in Charlotte what they have in Charleston. Battery of one of the most successful USL teams. And Lord knows Charleston has done quite well in U.S. Open Cup before, and they have a number of victories against Major League Soccer teams, including Metro Stars in the past.
We don't like to bring that up, though, Bob.
I know, because I think you're on one of those teams. Going down to Charleston, they have a heck of a home crowd there, and in control is Evan Laurel. Were you at one of the games in Charleston for when the Battery did win?
I hate to admit that. I don't know if I remember correctly. That's
maybe
what happens.
Maybe you don't want to remember.
Balls, it's selective memory, right?
Completely different situation now for Red Bull. I'm just wondering, because you're so in tune with what John does and everything, that this is the premier academy in the entire country, what Red Bulls 2 have. And the competition, the junior high school players in the area, the high school players, they probably lust to get involved in the academy.
Yeah, no question. Red Bull is right up there with some incredible, let's just be honest, it's probably the best, if not the best, academy product in Major League Soccer. There's a couple of good ones there. I mean, FC Dallas is another one that first comes to mind.
Galaxy have a good one, too.
But in saying that, just think about all the homegrown talent that has been rewarded, I guess is the best way of saying, because this is an organization and a coach in Jesse Marsh that believes in giving younger players an opportunity.
And they get minutes.
And they get minutes, and what more importantly than anything else, they get the minutes, but they excel when they get those minutes. And no better way to look at that example is a guy like Connor Lade, and then kind of evolving to another player like, I don't know, Tyler Adams. He's a pretty good player, right?
You think so? Well, he played earlier today.
Exactly.
U.S. at France with a 1-1 draw. Even though France outplayed them, you get a 1-1 draw in France, you're doing pretty well. I think of Tyler Adams, and as a 16-year-old 2 years ago, scoring a goal against Chelsea.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well,
16 years old. Red Bull Academy product.
I'm often asked, I live in the outskirts of Philadelphia, and my kids are starting to play soccer, and my 8-year-old son is really getting involved in soccer and really loving and passionate about the sport. Obviously looking forward to the World Cup coming up next week. But I always tell him, I'm like, buddy, if you want a good example of how soccer should be played, especially in this specific country, just take a look at Tyler Adams, because he's a wonderfully talented, gifted player that has taken the game to another level.
We have an injured Charlotte player behind the scenes, and he is holding his thigh, and we can't quite see his number. It comes in the 31st minute. We're tied at 1. Caleb Cato scoring in the 23rd minute, and a little over a minute and a half later, Amando Marino scoring for Red Bulls 2. 6th goal of the year for each of those two players. And we will no doubt have some extra time tagged on to this first half with the injury to the Charlotte player who we still have not identified. And he is holding his hamstring. Actually, now I'm looking, he's holding his ankle. Okay. Not the kind, it's not a hot, heavy, humid day, so you wouldn't think that there'd be a pulled muscle right now.
No, I think it was just, if I could be mistaken, I think it was Shroud who came in with a late tackle maybe and kind of got a blade too.
Well, you see John Wallenick there, by the way, instructing Chris Lima. And this is what happened to the Charlotte Independence player.
Yeah, looks like White came in a little bit late, and I don't think there was any intent whatsoever. You can see Charlotte player goes down. Is that Jung So, I think? One of the things that John was talking about pregame with me is that, obviously they're, the center back tandem of Watson and also Jung So. He was really trying to focus a lot of the attention with White playing off Jung So because he felt like he could get a little bit more opportunities off Jung So as opposed to Watson.
You just love to see Brian White in control in the box because he is what he can do with the ball when he gets it on target. You just have to, I think, just more poise in the box, and then the goals will come for Brian White.
It's all about getting experience. I mean, that's ideally why we're seeing what we're seeing here relative to the money spent towards USL and organizations like Red Bull 2 is giving these younger players a platform to really take it to another level for their careers. Ayman
Zaid coming in for Keith Foster, who is the injured player. And so that substitution comes actually in the 33rd minute. So I'm sure that Mike Jeffries didn't want to have to go to his bench this soon, but that's the case. We are 1-1, 33rd minute. And it'll be a Red Bull 2 throw-in. Nico de Vera. Header, Caceres Jr. And the Red Bulls will get the throw-in again. Well, that ball cleared the far fence. They have people to go down, chase the ball down the hill. There's a huge steep hill on the near side, as you see on your camera here, behind the camera position. And sometimes the ball makes it down to the New Jersey Transit tracks. So leave the ball there. Let's see, we got a freight train coming here for Red Bull. Offense, left side. Marino in the box. Caceres Jr. behind him. Marino trying again, and Charlotte now in possession, booting it out of trouble, going ahead. Cordell Cato. And Red Bull 2 with the interception. Quickly in front, almost for Brian White. It was just one step ahead of him, otherwise, and he was onside too.
Well, a good little run there by Brian White inside the box, and Devera just missed him a good step or two, but a really good job there. You can see there Devera was trying that near post run. Ball to Brian White, who just missed it by a step or two, and it's going to take some time for these players to really get a handle on each other, but you like to see what we're seeing here, at least in the last 15 minutes by this Red Bull team as they kind of take it to the next level. After giving up that first goal, it's been dominant play here by Red Bull so far.
It was a nice pass by Nico Devera, just a little bit too much on it, but nice. He bent it nicely. Armando Marino with the nice steal. Charlotte trying to grab the lead again. Poked aside. And regain for Charlotte. Sam Vines, and booted out of trouble. And this should be an Independence throw-in.
That's another young player that I've been keeping an eye on. Wake Forest product, Pollitt's homegrown, All-American there at Wake Forest. And, I think he's a talented center back that we might hear from kind of going forward.
I think it's quite possible Pollitt might get some, depending upon how the roster shapes up and the Red Bulls doing the U.S. Open Cup, he may get some first-team minutes with the U.S. Open Cup.
I completely agree, and that's one of the reasons why I love coming to these games and seeing these young players, because you really like to see kind of their natural evolution in their professional careers.
Ryan White's pass intercepted by Kevon George. Speaking of which, did you see the goal-saving play by Hassan Ndam in his first game with the first team against New York City this past Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really say enough about that U.S. Open Cup first round to have that many players, new players, step on the field and have a dominant performance against NYCFC. I mean, it was just a sight to behold, and I'm just so excited for this Red Bull team kind of going forward. I think there's an opportunity there at Philadelphia Union on June 14th for them to keep on going up to the next level of the U.S. Open Cup. Devastating loss last year, but this is a Red Bull team that wants trophies, and it's just a matter of time. I feel that they're going to start capitalizing on such a talented organization.
Safely passing it back to Evan Lauro, and he boots it up. The header goes out, and it'll be Charlotte Independence ball. For those not familiar with Steve Jolly, he's one of the premier defenders during his career in Major League Soccer, so he can relate to the young defenders coming up for Red Bulls. And Hassan Ndam is a very imposing figure.
No question.
And this is an imposing offensive thrust for the Red Bull. Jose Aganaga a little bit too far. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50.
And Bob, taking advantage of these set pieces is going to be big as we're entering the final 10 minutes. You've got the big guys like Akwi and Pollitt and White. Those are three big guys that you can try to find something here inside the box on this corner kick.
They like to pass it out, and Bayan with a powerful leg stays in bounds. That's the first time we've had a chance to see him give a good boot.
Well, that's exactly the kind of service that you want a young player to play right there in their corner of the 18-yard box. You're going to see here that, Bayan had a wonderful opportunity to just kind of put some pressure on the keeper there at Dykstra and just throw it to the far post. And it was a good save by Dykstra, no question, but a great little ball by Bayan.
And here's the aforementioned Bayan. Jordan Bayan, and we'll go back to Evan Lauro. And Charlotte, Joel Johnson, who has been a Johnny on the spot so far for the Independents this afternoon, or should I say this evening. Stolen by Red Bulls 2, Jared Stroud. In there, Ahab Akwi, but breaking downfield for Charlotte. And it's Zaid. Now Martinez Terrific defense there by Red Bulls, too. Looks like Kevin Pollitt's got a leg in there, and it'll be a set piece for Charlotte.
Yeah, yet again, Pollitt's doing a great job defensively, helping support his back line. Good little defensive play. We've seen 4 or 5 already. He's been a shining star here in the first half at that defensive center back position. But as I mentioned, for that Red Bull team, important to get set pieces. It's also important not to give up anything here in the final 10 minutes of the first half. Last thing you want to do is go into the locker room giving up, especially a set piece goal.
Oh, this is Herrera who's taking the kick. And goes far side, headed back into the box, and it goes behind the net. So this will go to Evan Lauro. And so we enter the 40th minute. Lauro with a quick outlet kick. Fast break, Red Bulls with a 4-on-3, racing ahead. Beautiful defensive play, Andrew Dykstra. A race for the ball, and he wins it.
Phenomenal job by Dykstra to come off his line. It really did look like Aguinaga was going to have an opportunity to take it inside the box, but it was Dykstra who came out and had to use his feet because he was outside the 18.
He could not hesitate. He immediately made the decision to come out. He gambled, and he won. And set it down by Sam Vines. Does not control. This is Stroud. And Red Bulls 2 will set it up. Lima. That's a handball. And we got collision there, too. It'll be a kick for the Red Bulls, too. And it looks like Aguinaga might have hit his noggin. It took an elbow. Okay, there you go.
Well, that's exactly what you don't want to see, that contact above the shoulders. Young So, don't know really what he was thinking. I'll try to be nice and just kind of remove myself from that specific situation because that's extremely – you can see Wozniak right now very, very upset with that decision by Young So to go after her that way. It's at the very least, you would think that a card would be shown here.
That's what I was about to say. I think he wanted a card there.
Yeah, you and me both.
John is not shy in speaking to the fourth official to relay things to the officials.
You can
on
see him
the
across the field right now doing just that, and you'd like to see this Red Bull team kind of capitalize on a really nice set piece here by about 30 yards out. Put the ball on frame, make Dykstra have a save here.
And it goes just wide of the goal. Christian Caceres Jr. on the kick. Hoping that somebody would tip it in. Brian White was in there, but didn't quite connect. So, 42nd minute, we are tied at 1. Cordell Cato scoring for Charlotte in the 23rd minute, his 6th of the season. And Amando Marino scoring in the 25th minute, his 6th of the campaign. 1-1. So much coming up at halftime, including Player of the Week, other USL highlights. And if you just logged on to our telecast and you're a New York Red Bulls 2 fan, a very familiar face, scored one of the goals of the week. We will tease it that way. We will not let you know until we play that
there you
highlight. And this will be a Charlotte throw-in. Joel Johnson. Being watched by Amando Marino. And that should be an Independence possession. Going far side for Sam Vines. Kevon George sends it back. You can see the pressure by Red Bull 2. Can White get to it this time? No. Dykstra again gambles and wins by a half step. Second time that Brian White has challenged Andrew Dykstra. The second time that Dykstra barely won the race.
Wow. This Red Bull organization is known for that intense defensive pressure, and we could see right there how it kind of paid off, and what an opportunity there. But again, it's Dykstra who comes up big. And quite frankly, he is the player, the one player that is keeping the Charlotte team in the game right now in the first half.
And that'll be a foul on Red Bulls and on Brian White. Joel Johnson for Charlotte.
Yeah, we couldn't be any luckier with this weather here Beginning of June to have this overcast day.
Oh, the weather we've had in the Northeast, this has been this is an absolute treat.
Yeah.
Of course, when we have the dog days of July and August, we'll be thinking,
exactly.
in June.
Exactly.
Martinez for Charlotte. Nice defensive play by Red Bulls, too. And that was Akwi on the defense. Now upfield, Aganaga. Little too high for Brian White, and it'll be chased down by Johnson for Charlotte.
And we've seen that a couple of times here in the first half by Aganaga. Needs to be a little bit better, do a little bit better job in terms of maintaining possession in that final third. And I'm sure the coaching staff, along with John Wolniak, is going to talk to him at halftime and just kind of settle him down a little bit and try to connect the passes to the feet until he gets to the flow of the game.
Midfield passing for Red Bull 2 has been fairly good today, and it's been just outside the box, and they need to connect a little bit better. 45th minute, we will probably have a couple minutes of stoppage time. We're speculating. We had a couple injuries. We also had a couple goals, and good poke out by the Red Bulls 2. And Marino sends it back. And it'll be Red Bull 2 possession. That apparently is a foul on Lee Jung-soo of Charlotte.
Well, we've seen that by Jung-soo a couple of times now, and at some point the center official is going to have to make a decision and making sure that he doesn't do that in, because at the very least it's consistent infringement. But as we saw earlier, it can be dangerous when he gets that contact above the shoulders when he leads with his arm and elbow.
Evan Lauro. And he would probably like to have that one kicked back, but Red Bull 2 gains possession. But Charlotte will now, after a foul by Red Bull 2, have it. And we are now going to, let's see, we do not have the fourth official posting any extra time on the side, unless he forgot to pick up the placard.
I think we're going to see that right now.
I would think we have a couple minutes coming up. And a little birdie tells us there will be 2 minutes of extra time.
It seems about right.
For Charlotte, Jung-soo. Martinez, nice pass, give and go. And we do get the official indication of 2 minutes of stoppage time. And this will be Red Bull 2 possession. We're tied at 1. Cordell Cato for Charlotte. And Armando Marino for Red Bulls 2. Pass to Barr for Bayan. And it'll be a Red Bulls 2 throwing quickly to Christian Caceres Jr. Red Bulls 2 would like to have that back pass over again. Could Charlotte take advantage of this? Downfield they come. Cordell Cato looking for his second goal. Almost a terrific move. Red Bulls 2 kick it out of danger.
Well, Cato struggled with his first touch and allowed Red Bull to get numbers behind the ball, and a good team defense play there by the Red Bulls.
Surrounding Cato, and now let's see with about a minute to go in the extra time. Christian Caceres Jr. Into the box it goes, and a little bit too far. Jared Stroud, the intended recipient. Now here's Bayan. He's got a good leg. Instead, he sends it over for Stroud. And he keeps it in on the kick, but Charlotte kicks it out of danger. Maybe one last thrust now for Red Bull 2 before the end of the first half. And knocked down was Bayan. Foul on Charlotte, and so Red Bulls 2 will get one last attempt here, I'm sure, before we get the first half whistle.
You can see here, Bayan with plenty of time. Martinez, as he gets the ball back, just kind of goes in, arms up, pushes off, but gives this Red Bull team a wonderful opportunity closing out this first half,
Let's see the leg of Chris Lima. I figured he's going to send it right to the middle of the box.
A little in-swinger. Should have quite a few players from Red Bull running inside the box and testing Dykstra.
Because we'll probably get the whistle right after the play is finished. Lima didn't position that properly, and it's snared immediately by Andrew Dykstra. And there we go. We are one half complete here at the beautiful, renovated Montclair State University Soccer Park. The New York Red Bulls and Charlotte Independence are tied at 1. Goals by Cato in the 23rd minute for Charlotte. Marino scoring his 6th for Red Bulls 2 in the 25th minute. Neither team is bunkering. Well, I should say Charlotte's not bunkering for Red Bulls 2, so that's been terrific. It's been a great pace of play. It's going to get better in the second half. We'll recap the first half in just a minute. And also, our big surprise, a former Red Bull 2 player got the USL Goal of the Week. That is coming up. This is USL Soccer, Charlotte at the New York Red Bulls 2.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
We welcome you back to beautiful MSU Soccer Park, renovated now D2 standards, and this might be the biggest crowd ever for Red Bulls 2 here at MSU Soccer Park. We are 1-1 at the half, and for the New York Red Bulls 2, Brian White with some nice opportunities in the first half.
Well, Bob, Brian White's just trying to kind of find his groove now, a little bit better job maybe from his midfield, but Brian White is being active and he's doing everything he needs to do, and hopefully in the second half he'll get a little bit more opportunities. But as we can see from these replays, it's all about Dykstra, who's kind of had his number today, the goalkeeper Dykstra.
There were two instances where Dykstra beat White on a ball that if White was able to get possession would have been an easy chip-in goal. And then you have for Charlotte, Jorge Herrera, who was the star of the game last year in the 3-2 Charlotte win here at Montclair State University against Red Bulls 2. And Herrera had some opportunities in the first half.
Well, a couple opportunities. We didn't have to say his name too often. That's a credit to this Red Bull team. It's kind of stifled him a little bit. This Red Bull team is not going to be happy with giving up that goal against Cato, though.
New York Red Bulls 2 have road games at Pittsburgh and then the Bethlehem Steel FC, and they're back here at MSU Soccer Park on June 24th against the Ottawa Fury FC, and that is a 5 p.m. kick here in Montclair, New Jersey. And we just want to let you know that this is the kind of atmosphere that we have here. You can see fans right now are in our wide shot of the main stand here at Montclair State University now with the concession stands and everything. As family-oriented a situation, you can bring the family here. The ticket prices are so affordable, and hot dogs are great too. So we will be back with our Player of the Week in just a minute. This is USL Soccer.
We came here with a unique challenge, and that was to solve the problem of producing over 500 games and do so in a cost-effective way for the clubs, in a way that produced high-quality broadcasts and standardize the look and feel of all of those productions. Outside of the live event, the match experience. Outside of that, the broadcast is the window into the brand for the club and for the league. You need to be able to capture that in a compelling way with a quality broadcast.
A large portion of the teams work with our partner Vista on REMI Productions, remote integration. What that means is that the production of the game is actually handled mostly away from site. So the way these games work is a truck will show up locally at the stadium. There'll be 4 camera operators there, and those signals are sent all the way here to Fort Lauderdale. And here locally at Vista, the game is cut. The game has graphics put on top of it. Replay is done here, and in many cases, the play-by-play is actually done on site here at Vista as well. So after the game is fully produced, we have a signal that goes to our partner ESPN Plus for US distribution. We have a signal that goes to YouTube for international distribution. And then for the teams that have an over-the-air local broadcast regional sports network deal, the signal is sent to their partners as well. So even for the games that aren't done with a REMI production, all games flow through Vista, and all those signals have to get sent out all over the world to reach the fans of USL. Because of those REMI productions, we'll oftentimes have 5 or 6 games going on at one time. Nobody is doing sports REMI productions on this level consistently.
We have built one of the largest REMI production models of any league in the world. And now we're able to deliver anywhere in the world to our partners at ESPN, fully produced matches from all over the country. We couldn't be more thrilled with the progress we've made and some of the innovative things now we're going to be able to start to bring into the broadcast moving forward.
We welcome you back to Montclair State University. Bob Gallerstein, Steve Jolly, and time for the goal of the week. Jamal Johnson of Fresno FC. Wow, what a leg.
Yeah, 2 goals for the night, but this long-range goal is what everybody's going to be talking about against Seattle. You can see, gets off his non-kicking foot, far post, nothing the keeper could do about that one. That was an incredible finish by Jamal Johnson.
I kind of remember, it reminds me of the way Steve Jolly used to kick
No,
the ball.
not at all. I appreciate that, though, Bob.
And we tease the player of the week. Here's someone who's very familiar to Red Bull 2 fans, close to our hearts. Brandon Allen, who was a member of the Red Bull 2's 2016 USL champion, and he boots the ball in right there. Brandon Allen, who is the player of the week in the USL, 2 goals and 1 assist. He just has such a nose for the goal.
Yeah, well, 2 goals for the week, and as we mentioned for Nashville, that's an organization that's going into Major League Soccer. So for that player to kind of step in and get some good goals, that's great for his name, and it's great for his career.
And there you go, the team of the week around Major League Soccer, and Brandon Allen up there. And you would hope that Brandon Allen can latch on maybe with the MLS Nashville team, because Lord knows he has done everything you could possibly do in the USL. So that is our USL team of the week.
An eclectic mix from guys from Los Angeles Galaxy to the Bethlehem Steel, and obviously Brandon Allen, who had an incredible week there.
All right, first half so far, we are 1-1 here at Montclair State University. And Red Bull 2 with the majority of possession, you can see, with a 5-shot advantage, also the shots on goal advantage. We had no cards, but we could have had some cards in that first half. Corners, we had some good plays, good chances, and possession. I thought it was a little bit more than 53-47 in favor of Red Bulls 2, but Charlotte with the majority of play early on in the first half. But after that Red Bull 2 goal by Armando Moreno, the possession was decidedly in favor of Red Bulls 2.
Yeah, no question. And for this Red Bull team to come back after giving up that goal to Cato and just kind of take it to the next level, I guess is the best way of saying it, with possession but also opportunities, just shows you how confident these players are getting as the minutes start ticking.
All right, one of the players we focus on for Red Bull 2, Jordan Bion, making his pro debut. He's yet another graduate of Red Bull's Academy. Your thoughts on his play in the first half?
Well, you could see himself settling down a little bit more. I'd like to actually get him forward a little bit more on that right-hand side, but they're doing a really good job, that young player going to Dartmouth.
Well, the second half kickoff in a couple of minutes, 1-1. New York Red Bulls 2, Charlotte Independence. This is USL Soccer.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want, It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
Back to Montclair State University, the MSU Soccer Park. Bob Gallerstein with former MLS All-Star Steve Jolly with the Metro Stars. And we had a lot of action in the first half. And Mondo Marino with a chance.
Well, on top of the box, he had plenty of chances. We mentioned that it's so important to kind of test Dykstra early, and he's frustrated with himself that he couldn't get a better shot.
And then Charlotte responding.
Well, it was a good little ball. You can see how Cato has way too much time, but what a finish to that far post. Nothing Laura could do there. What a great little finish. Like to see Lima, number 80, come out a little bit quicker and defend that ball, though.
It looks like he knew he had that goal.
Yeah, right off his foot. Just a perfect shot there to the far post.
And then the Red Bulls seem to turn it on right there. And a little over a minute and a half later, Red Bulls struck right here.
Oh, what a good little rebound for this Red Bull team. Good little finish by Morena, made itself up from what we saw earlier in the game, and gets a good finish to tie the scoreline.
Nice soft touch, and Brian White with some nice passing. We talked about his shooting ability. He can pass it in the setup here.
Well, you could see good little ball to Caceres. Caceres is frustrated with himself. He wanted to do a little bit better on that one as well.
And he had that reaction of looking skyward, and a big save by Andrew Dykstra, who you mentioned, Steve, that if it wasn't for him, score could be 2 or 3-1 today.
No question. What a great little service by Bayon. Young under-19 player. Good job.
New York Red Bulls 2 will be at the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. That is their next game. Red Bulls 2 will then also go on the road to Bethlehem Steel on June 20th and back here at MSU Soccer Park on June 24th. And then the next game, FC Cincinnati Atlantic United 2. That's Wednesday, June 13th, ESPN Extra. And that is a look at MSU Soccer Park. The renovated MSU Soccer Park, which is now D2 compliant, seating capacity 5,000, and perhaps the best crowd ever for a New York Red Bulls 2 game ever here at the home of the New York Red Bulls 2, which started a couple years ago. They won the USL Championship in 2016 at Red Bull Arena. First 2 years of the team's existence came at Red Bull Arena. And good start, team adjusted, and they want their own home. And you know, one of the things that John Wallenick really loved about Montclair State University, because just off camera you see the USL Cup Championship banner hanging on the parking garage, and I absolutely love that.
Always nice to hang up banners, right?
And there may be some more coming this year at MSU Soccer Park, and also for the first team. We get a glimpse of the great crowd that we have here. Teams have taken the pitch for the second half, and brand new pitch here, part of the renovation for MSU Soccer Park. This is Red Bull 2's first game this season at the renovated MSU Soccer Park, and we should give a little shout out to Montclair State University's team, which is one of the premier Division III teams in the United States. They have a terrific women's and men's program here, and they love the involvement of Red Bulls too. And get a lot of players at Montclair State University that aspire to make it to Harrison, New Jersey, and play for Red Bulls.
No question. They've got a great little surface and facility here for Montclair State now, and but at the end of the day, this is a Red Bull team that has a good facility, good fan base here, and Red Bulls looking here in the second half to kind of take this game to the next level. When you think about what they need to do in here in the second half, the biggest thing for me is kind of maintain possession a little bit better, especially in that final third. But I'd actually like to see Devera and Bayon get a little bit more forward on the right-hand side and the left-hand side and try to kind of capitalize on getting forward, be involved, and more engaged on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, one of the things you wanted to see was the better passing from just outside the box, too.
Yeah, and that's,
easier said than done.
Yeah, it is easier said than done. But I can assure you the Red Bull coaching staff asked Aguinaga to just be a little bit better in terms of connecting the passes in the final third.
One goal for each team as we start the second half. Cordell Cato for Charlotte in the 23rd minute. Amando Marino for Red Bulls 2 in the 25th minute. Charlotte in the blue, Red Bulls in the white kits and the red shorts. And this will be Charlotte possession as we start half number 2 with the setting sun in Montclair, New Jersey, about 10 to 15 miles due west of Manhattan. Christian Caceres Jr., and that was supposed to be a set breakout play that didn't quite break out properly. So it'll be Joel Johnson to throw it in for Charlotte. Charlotte pressing here. Johnson was triple teamed, sends it over for Cordell Cato, and this will be a Charlotte throw-in. So Charlotte with the early possession here in the second half. And battle for the ball and controlled by Red Bulls. Look at the speed there of Amando Marino. Has it taken off his foot. Marino almost leading a breakout for Red Bulls too. Possession flag in favor of the Independents. Johnson with the throw-in. I think what you're liking there is how the Red Bull 2 is surrounding the Charlotte player, whoever has the ball.
Yeah, good team defense, but also, we saw again Pollitt's doing a good job just trying to get his foot on the ball. He's been kind of my shining star on that back line. Not to say or take anything away from Akwi, but Pollitt's has done a really good job kind of stabilizing that back line and keeping a calm kind of demeanor every time he gets the ball at his feet.
Yeah, I really like his potential to get some first-team minutes before the end of the year. For Red Bulls 2, Jose Aguinaga, lead pass knocked aside beautifully. And this will be a Red Bull 2, and finally, possession, we get a card on Charlotte. And I believe that yellow will be to Lee Jung-soo.
And we're going to see in this replay, really no reason whatsoever that Jung-soo needs to come through the way he did and kind of grab and throw the Red Bull player down like that. Very well deserving of a yellow card. And we've seen it quite a few times here, at least 3 or 4 times that I can count right away that player has specifically been involved in some kind of physical altercation.
And Lee Jung-soo has been going around the shoulders and to the head in each altercation. Now, I don't think that was as severe as the elbow in the first half, but I think finally we figured it warrants a yellow.
Yeah, we did see again Aguinaga not doing the greatest job connecting that pass as the counter take was breaking through. But here, another good opportunity here for a set piece, and you'd really like to see this Red Bull team kind of capitalize on one of these sooner rather than later.
That's Chris Lima, number 80. And into the box it goes, headed out by Charlotte.
Second offsides.
That is the case. Flag is up, and the ball goes to Andrew Dykstra, the keeper for the Charlotte Independents. All right, so Charlotte to bring the ball out of its end of the field. Try to break this Red Bull midfield press. And Pollitt will play it conservatively, send it back to Lauro. Down the field, does it stay in? Yes, indeed it does. Marino does a nice job to keep it in, but Charlotte gets possession. Interesting breakout by the Red Bulls there.
Good defensive play by veteran Watson, Javon Watson. Many people have seen him play at Major League Soccer.
Seems like Marino has gotten probably the most touches of
I
anybody
agree.
on the team.
I completely agree.
Today.
This left-hand side, and that's partly one of the reasons why I like to see a guy like Tavera on the the left-hand back position kind of get forward a little bit more. Has plenty of space to get forward and offer a little bit more support with Moreno, because I think this left-hand side, there are some options to get forward and be dangerous.
See the shadows in the field because the sun has set. Lights have been on for the entire game. We are early in the second half, 50th minute. We are tied at 1. Red Bull 2 with possession. Christian Caceres Jr. one-touch pass just outside the box. Charlotte looking for the steal, looking for the quick break. They get it. Independence. And it goes to Zaid. Back, and now for Cordell Cato has the lone goal for Charlotte. Cato into the box a little bit too far. Independence retained possession. Back pass, one-timer, and Laurel with the save on the kick by Ekra.
Well, Ekra had a lot of time there. One touched it, but it was Laurel.
I think that Ekra would have won it before that shot.
Yeah, it wasn't too much of a concern there for Laurel.
Seems when you get the young players, you want to, as the pass goes back to Laurel, when they one-time the ball, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get a lot more oomph on the kick.
See, here's a good opportunity for a counterattack again for this Red Bull team.
Aganaga, right side. Into the box and racing after it is Marino. Gets another touch. Let's see what he can do one-on-one here. Takes the safe pass out. Back for Marino. Can he get the ball? Joel Johnson gets it first. And this will be a corner kick for the Red Bulls, but that was a good defensive play by Joel Johnson. Conservative, but brought the ball out of danger. Let's see what Red Bull 2 can do in the set piece.
Lima looks like to be stepping over this. We'll see an outswinger. A lot of good targets there for Red Bull.
Lima with the boot. Into the box. The header just goes wide.
Well, that was a good run there by Brian White to the near post. Flicks it on.
He's had a presence on that right side. More passes than shots today, but I'd love to see him get the ball in the box, see what he can do. And there's another ball down the hill. And quickly thrown in. Bayan and stolen by Charlotte. And it's Cato. Sends it right side with room to roam. Johnson running back. And in the box, it went between two Charlotte players. They each had a shot if the ball went to either one of them. Break for Red Bull 2, but Charlotte maintains possession. Kevon George. And it goes beyond his possession. This will be a Charlotte. Charlotte almost had a chance here.
Well, it's so much time and so much space by Johnson. Does exactly what you're supposed to do, is just get it inside the box, and you can see that he was very frustrated with himself, that he felt like he could have probably been in a better position for him.
Johnson with the throw-in. Sends it for Zaid. And Charlotte with a little bit of press here. Let's see what the Independents can do. We're tied at 1. Johnson again. It's been a bit of a quarterback back there. He's been the Pollitt's equivalent for Charlotte tonight. To make a defender analogy. And there he is again, Johnson, and it'll be a Charlotte throw-in. Aganaga knocks it out. '54th minute, tied at 1. Jorge Herrera. We have not said his name too much, but inside, big save by Evan Lauro on Cordell Cato, who was looking for his second goal of the game.
Well, in every game, you want your keepers, especially experienced keepers, to step up big for you. And right there, we saw Lauro look like Akwi got a little tangled up with the turf or something like that. And what a great little save by Loro.
Set piece now for the Independents. They have no one near Herrera, so he's obviously going to be sending it into the box. And the header, and it just goes wide. I think it might have gone off the head of Alex Martinez. Good set piece by Charlotte.
Good ball by Herrera to put it on that 6-yard box, and it was George. It looks like he tried to finish to that far post. Loro had it covered, though, so not too much of a concern, but a good job by George to get on the end of that one.
Kevon George with a good vertical leap in the box. A good header by Red Bull 2, almost to gain possession. Charlotte upfield. Good body positioning by Cordell Cato. Looking ahead for Zaid, and Evan Loro will get there first. And Red Bull 2 to bring the ball out. Looking for Brian White downfield. Seems like Charlotte has won a majority of the headers so far today. Marino one touch intended for Aganaga, and it's booted out by Andrew Dykstra. And 1-on-2, Charlotte gets possession of the ball. Terrific play there by Cordell Cato, and Zaid going 1-on-1. Zaid knocked down in the box. And that turned out to be, I thought we might have gotten a penalty kick call. Looks like it was a good defensive play.
Well, you can see the referee right behind the play and called it off right away. No concerns relative to Akwi trying to get position on Zaid. Comes in a little bit, but the center official says no foul there.
I think Zaid might have tried to enhance the situation when we look at the replay, and Akwi made a good defensive play.
We're only 10 minutes in here in that second half, and as much as Red Bull had much of the play the last 20 minutes of the first half, struggled a bit kind of maintaining possession here in the second half.
You're going to get a more experienced team in Charlotte, and no idea. We're getting a yellow here. Looks like, is that on the Red Bulls?
No, this is Johnson, 22. Gets her, looks like consistent infringement. You could see the center official pointing different directions to Johnson, letting him know that there was multiple fouls, and that was the reason why he was going to get his yellow card.
So second yellow on Charlotte for this game, none so far in Red Bull. Hey, voting is now open for the USL's monthly awards. Cast your vote for the Player of the Month, the Goal of the Month, and the Save of the Month this weekend at uslsoccer.com, which is they've upgraded that website terrifically. Absolutely fabulous. Red Bull 2 in possession, Chris Lima. Marino. Christian Caceres Jr. has his pocket pick, race for the ball, and Red Bull 2 in control. And it looks like that was Bayan.
Yeah, does a good job defensively.
He has really
putting
impressed.
Himself, yeah, exactly, between him and the player, and does a good job to maintain possession there.
Into the box, and just a little bit too far. Are we getting a corner or a goal kick here? It looks like we're getting a corner. You know, what's one thing for a young defender? It's positioning without the ball, and he seems to do it very well.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. You can see he feels very comfortable on that right back position, and a good example of just what he could do defensively.
All right, Lima's taking the corner again. So Red Bull 2 with an opportunity to break the tie. Into the box, and booted out by Charlotte.
Okay.
Is he going to call it?
I think he called a PK, and a good example of, this center official right away called it. He had no concerns whatsoever about what he felt was the correct call, and I know that Charlotte is disagreeing with him, but we're going to see in this replay if it just was a penalty kick. Well, from the corner kick you see there, comes in. It does look like it deflects off. Can't tell if that was George or not, but it did look like it deflected off his hand, and now this Red Bull team gets to step up, and it looks like Caceres is going to step up and try to finish this one off.
And it was, if you're going to take a penalty, in the box, that was a great scoring opportunity. So Christian Caceres Jr., who does not have any goals this year, he has 2 assists.
Well, right away, the center official, Eric Tattersall, saw the play and had no concerns whatsoever. Very comfortable making sure that was called, and now you can see this Red Bull team, even though they haven't played exceptionally well in the second half, can get up on the score line here if Caceres can step up and put it in the back of the net.
Be a good confidence booster for Christian Caceres Jr. if he can put it in. Let's see if he does. 2-1 Red Bulls. No doubt about it, Christian Caceres Jr., his first goal of the season comes in the 60th minute, and it's New York Red Bulls 2, the Charlotte Independence 1.
Well, as I mentioned, not playing exceptionally well here in the beginning of the second half, but you love seeing him putting the ball in the back of the net. For most of the first half, it was Dykstra who kind of stepped up and kept this team, Charlotte team, in the game, but Dykstra couldn't step up here as Caceres just puts it right down the middle and with a lot of power and pace and puts this Red Bull team 2-1.
I would think that a goal like this has got to be a big boost for him because he's been terrific in the midfield, but you also want to get a little more offense out of him, too.
Yeah.
He's got a powerful leg. We got a sub for the Red Bulls, and here's a player who's impressed this year. Andrew Tinari is coming in. Very valuable midfielder, and he's coming in for Jose Aguinaga. Andrew Tinari has impressed so much this year. And as young a team as this is for Red Bulls, too, he's been one of the more experienced players, All right, let's see if the Independents can knot the score. Johnson feeds it ahead for Zaid. Back to Johnson. Nice touch pass inside Cato. And terrific positioning by Kevin Politz. And it'll go to Evan Lauro. So positioning with the body and gives the ball for the goal kick.
Good job there. Politz, we've spoken quite a few times on his performance here today, doing a great stand-up job defensively for this Red Bull team.
Tinari, one touch for Brian White, feeds right side, and that's a goal! He comes into the game, Andrew Tinari, and he finishes the play. 3-1 for Red Bulls 2.
Well, Bob, I mentioned a couple of times that Aguinaga was struggling a little bit on that final third, but you're going to see when we get this replay, it's Tinari does a great job in terms of a first touch, and you're going to see the entry pass. And watch his first touch here, Bob. A good little first touch to create some space for himself. Brian White does a good job of getting it wide. Good touch first time to the far post where Tinari can finish it back off. And now this Red Bull team's looking a lot different than it did 5 minutes ago with a 3-1 score line here in the 62nd minute.
You know they're passing well when the goal becomes a gimme, and that's what it was for Andrew Tinari. You know, we talk about the potential goal-scoring abilities of Brian White and Jared Stroud. And Stroud was one player that you mentioned earlier in the broadcast that you wanted to get a good look at. Their passing tonight has been terrific.
Well, like I mentioned in that, saw that in that replay, Tinari does a great little one-time touch to White. White pushes the ball out wide, exactly what you like to see him do. But then Stroud just completely and utterly unselfish and throws it to the far post where Tinari can finish it off.
New York Red Bulls 2 with a 3-1 lead. That goal comes in the 62nd minute.
Looks like the assistant coach there for Charlotte is that being asked to leave on the day. Maybe frustrated that there might have been a
That's
play
Mike
called.
Jeffries, you see, the head coach of Charlotte. So we may have an assistant coach. It looks like an assistant coach ejection for Charlotte, and you get a couple quick goals here. Essentially, Red Bull 2 has scored 3 consecutive goals. And Charlotte was controlling play starting the second half, but, the good teams find a way to win. And, one thing I noticed with the John Wolinick coach team, in the second half they pour it on. They get goal hungry, and it would not surprise me if the final for this is something like 5-1, 5-2.
Well, it's all so important now that you've picked up a couple goals is that you kind of maintain your composure, but more importantly, the biggest thing is just maintaining possession, running the style of play that you'd like to run, and not getting too frustrated, as this Charlotte team will most definitely come out and try to compete a little bit more and just kind of maintain your composure, stay within the game, and try to finish off this game. Worst case scenario, the scoreline of 3-1.
And good positioning by Red Bulls defender Wahab Akwi, and sends it back to Evan Lauro. We'll kick it out of danger. And once again, Charlotte winning a header in midfield, but Red Bull 2 with possession. And this is Nico de Vera. Tenari, he has a nose for the ball. He has had so many touches since he came in the game, including the goal. And that should be a foul on Red Bull. That's a foul on Tenari.
And he knew right away.
Yeah. And Kevon George sends it left side. Martinez looking for room. He's double teamed, sends it back. Brian White with the steal. Brian White racing after the ball, and getting to it first, though, was Javon Watson for Charlotte.
You know, in saying that, though, I love Brian White's first touch. Right away, first little touch to get forward, and now you can see again another really great touch to find Tenari.
Tenari outside the box, booting it, and off the crossbar. It stays in. Taken down by Mondo Marino. Sends it for a pinching De Vera. Back to Marino. Nice move. Marino on goal, and the save by Andrew Dykstra.
Yet another example of Stroud doing a great job trying to finish that one off. Very unfortunate that it hits the post, but you can see Stroud is a talented young player. Mentioned earlier in the game that he was a draftee in 2018 from Colgate.
Nice interception. Charlotte regains midfield, poked aside there by Chris Lima. And White with the long shot, and it goes wide. And one thing I've seen for the first team, and we're seeing with the shot there by Brian White, Bradley Wright Phillips taking shots outside the box, and I'm wondering if it's part of an organization-wide strategy.
Yeah, there's no question that Mr. White gets to see BWP often, and here we can see Tenari doing a good job getting the ball wide, and watch us try a left-footed finish almost by Chris Stroud to get that left post, and unfortunate that it hits the post and goes wide, but there's a young player that's really stepping up here today.
He had Andrew Dykstra beaten, too. Now they're getting quality shots, and that's a very good sign. That's, after Charlotte controlled the early play in the first half, Red Bull 2 turned it on. Charlotte controlled play early second half. Red Bull 2 is now really pouring it on. Has a 2-goal lead.
Yeah, and I think a big reason is right here, this player, Tenari, finding good spaces, connecting the passes, and this is what's really important right now, is just connecting the passes, maintaining possession, and this is what exactly John Woniak wants to see from his players, and, I'm looking over them right now, and he knows that he was disappointed that Brian White put it out wide, but he's really happy with his performance over the last 10 or 15 minutes since that substitution by the Tenari on his side.
Andrew Tenari is another player who would not surprise me if sometime this season he gets first-team minutes. Red Bull 2 thwarting Charlotte in the midfield. Let's see what they can do here. It's a 3-on-4 break for the Independents. Martinez in front. It was a nice pass by Martinez. Red Bull 2 able to intercept.
Well, once again, Paul, it's exactly the right spot to clear that way. So far, if you're looking for a defensive MVP, it's hard to find another name other than Paulitz right now.
Young defense for this Red Bull 2 team. I'm so impressed with their positioning with the ball and away from the ball. It's something.
Yeah, Bob, you mentioned positioning, and when you look at talented defensive players, a guy like Aaron Long, who I feel like his greatest strength is positioning, and you can see Paulitz.
Aaron Long, a member of the 2016 championship team, and
Exactly.
was the USL Defender of the Year in 2016. Long pass for Zaid in the box. And Red Bull 2 with possession. That's showing fight for the ball.
There it is again.
Tenari looking for Brian White. He will flag this one down. He's going to go one-on-one right now. Sends it into the box a little bit too far for a Mondo Marino. Race for the ball far side. Picked up by Red Bulls 2. And New York setting things up. Looking in the box for Tenari. Deflected, and that will be a goal kick for Andrew Dykstra.
Well, you mentioned Aaron Long, and I think that's a wonderful example of the value of USL, and we're going to see a replay here, but Tenari with an incredible ball. And we've seen him find Brian White quite a few times, but how about this service right here? Man, what a great little try. Just missed Moreno, but really good job there by Brian White. Put the ball inside the box.
His passing has improved so much since the start of the season. Keep up to date with all the latest social media from around the league as Kelsey Steele hosts Off the Post every Friday through the league's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram feeds. The ubiquitous USL on the web. And right now it's the ubiquitous New York Red Bulls 2 in midfield, thwarting most of the attempts for Charlotte, but let's see what the Independents can do here with possession. Martinez into the box. Nice move. Gets a shot off and a big save by Lauro, and then another save in front by one of the Red Bull 2 defenders.
Well, Devera, the outside back, doing exactly what you're supposed to do to cover the keeper. Just set yourself right there on the line, and there he was, and he was able to clear it out. And we're going to see this replay by Devera. What a great little defensive play. And watch how he does exactly what you're supposed to do. Follow through, try to get on the end of it, follow right behind that keeper, and clears it off the line. Good job defensively by Devera.
You know, it's kind of similar to what Hassan and Dam did in the U.S. Open Cup game this past Wednesday, and saved the goal from David Villa. And kept the clean sheet for the Red Bulls first team. Nice save by Lauro. And a clean sheet for the Red Bulls first team in the U.S. Open Cup game. I stand corrected. That was Dykstra with the save.
Well, this game most definitely has opened itself up over the last 15, 20 minutes, and you're going to start seeing it probably open up even more as the game kind of enters its final 20 minutes. And, I was thinking just a second ago to finish my thought relative to Aaron Long and the value of USL. Here was a player who had a couple opportunities with Major League Soccer and really never stuck with a team, then goes to USL and has a belief in a system like Red Bull system, played some games with USL, won a championship with USL, and now he's a superstar there with the first team. And it's just wonderful to see that these players are getting so many great opportunities to show just what they can do at the next level. And Aaron Long is just a great example of the value of USL.
You can make a case that Aaron Long, we'll get to the thought in a second, racing for the ball is Cato. And Cato and Martinez have been on the flank, the respective flanks, trying to get something going here. Cato again, and it'll be Charlotte possession. It's a foul on the Red Bulls. You can make a case that Long and Tim Parker are the best center back combo in Major League Soccer.
Oh, no question.
And Parker with minutes today for the U.S. national team.
And, yeah, you can almost make the case that Aaron Long should probably be beside Tim Parker, but you saw without question Tanari, making a foul there and pushing off. But Aaron Long and Tim Parker could be a wonderful combination in the back line of this Red Bull organization for a long, long time.
Coming in the game, Lucas Stauffer for Red Bulls 2, and what a debut for Jordan Bayon, who takes a well-deserved breather here. So Lucas Stauffer, number 68, comes in as a defender for Jordan Bayon. So 72 minutes into his pro debut, your thoughts on Jordan Bayon?
Well, Bayon, obviously a wonderful young talent, and I think he's going to have a great little career here with Red Bull, and he's going to go off to big things there at Dartmouth as well. And it's got to be an exciting time for that young man to excel so much on the field, but obviously he's excelling in the classroom as well.
It's got to be something for John Wallenick. He's coaching a bunch of Ivy Leaguers out there. You tell them something once, then you figure they'll retain it. Maybe they'll teach John something too.
No. If anything, John, I don't question the intellectual capacity of John Wallenick. I might question how old he's getting, especially with all that gray hair now. But
well, he's prematurely gray, but yeah, he's got a full head of hair, so good for him. Championship or not, developing players. When you look at developing players, easily a coach of the year, and John Wallenick. Well, let's see what Charlotte can do here. Trailing by 2, race for the ball, and we get an offside. The flag is up. And it'll be a Red Bull 2 possession.
Looks like we'll be seeing a substitution pretty shortly by Charlotte as well, as somebody's kind of lining up there. Looking to get on a couple minutes.
We're in the 74th minute. Red Bulls 2 with Andrew Tenari scoring a goal on a gimme. Beautiful passing, and you had a penalty kick, Christian Caceres Jr., Armando Marino in the first half. Cordell Cato, the lone goal for Charlotte, came in the 23rd minute. That was the first goal of the game. Red Bull 2 looking to clear the ball out of danger.
Oh.
Goal! I said Red Bull 2 like to pour it on, and how do you like this? You have Lucas Stauffer, who comes into the game and gets a goal. You had Andrew Tenari, who comes into the game. He gets a goal, and now it's 4-1.
Well, no question, Stauffer's got to be excited. You can see his goal celebration.
That's his
I
first
think that's
goal.
might his first touch, too. Steps in. You know, you can see with all the composure in the world as this ball goes up in the air, it's Stauffer who steps in and just makes a great little shot. Gets deflected a little bit. Bad clearance, and Stauffer just steps up and volleys it and puts it back of the net.
And he does it on a one-timer, which you get some of these guys coming up for Red Bull, they have powerful legs, more so than you see when the team first started. Well, you have a substitution now for the Charlotte Independents. Mutaya Muwapi is coming in. And that substitution coming in the 75th minute.
Well, they say that coaches aren't involved too much in games, and I probably would suggest otherwise, considering that John Wozniak brought in Tenari and then obviously Stauffer, who have obviously been very much involved in this game.
You know, I just have a feel for this Red Bull team since watching virtually every game since the team started in 2015. And in the second half, after the 70th minute, they just get so goal hungry and they pour it on. They make it a close game into a rout. And that's what we're seeing here.
They struggled a bit in the first 20 minutes, but they're finding their groove, and the confidence is getting bolder and bolder as we go to this final 15 minutes left.
It's got to be such a confidence boost for all these young players that are getting minutes, we spoke about earlier, and then they get a goal. And you have a bunch of, I'm sure there are a bunch of 11, 12, and 13-year-olds who are watching this telecast around the New York metropolitan area who are saying that could be me in the future. Trying to get into the Red Bulls Academy. And here are the Red Bulls, too, looking for a fifth goal. Tenari. His pass nicely picked off by Charlotte. And there's Christian Caceres Jr. And he takes a shot from way outside the box, and sprawling is Andrew Dykstra.
Well, I've been very impressed with Tenari as he's kind of been in the game. Does a great job in that final third, just connecting simple passes and actively involved. I think the tandem of him and Brian White have kind of taken this game to the next level. And obviously we're talked about Shroud on that right-hand side, who's been involved as well. But, this is a Red Bull team in the final third that looks completely different than they did in the first 20 minutes. There's Tenari right there, just barely missing Brian White. Well, those two have worked exceptionally well over the last 15 minutes, and Caceres with a try. And Dykstra just pushes it out wide, even though it was probably going wide anyway. Dykstra was just covering himself, and another opportunity in the corner kick. Looks like Lima's going to step over there again.
The injured Red Bull is Wahab Akwi, and he is okay. It looks like he may have suffered a bit of a pull with the hamstring. Lima with the powerful leg to take the kick for Red Bull 2. I have a feeling with a 4-1 lead, they may just pass it in. Although Charlotte is defending that. Now, does Lima have a choice when he approaches the ball to either pass it off, or is the set piece already determined?
Yeah, this is just waiting to see if the defenders are going to pull it out a little bit. It looks like he's going to get a delay of game because the center official had asked him already once to kind of move it in. But
78th minute, so that's a yellow card against Lima.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to service this one in.
Into the box, the header, and a big save by Dykstra. That was going in, a terrific header by Red Bull 2.
You're starting to feel a little bit of empathy there for Brian White. He's done such a great job tonight, and it's literally Dykstra who's kept him off the score line. Does a great job getting up in the air, and Dykstra pushes it wide. In the first half, we saw Dykstra come off his line and make two saves with his foot outside the 18-yard box to kind of stifle Brian White in there. You see him again stifle Brian White, who most definitely deserves to get on.
Terrific vertical
The
leap by
scoreline,
Brian White. It seems as if they're setting White up because he's been doing a lot of the passing today, and they want him to get on the scoreboard. It also seems as if Chris Lima, and we'll get to that thought in a second, and it looks like Jordan Scarlett is coming in for Wahab Akwi, and Jordan Scarlett, another terrific up-and-coming defender for New York Red Bulls, too. So he is now in the game. It seems as if Chris Lima is taking a page from the Vincent Bezecourt school of terrific kicks on set pieces. And Jordan Scarlett, who has seen a lot of minutes for Red Bulls, too, this season. Another player, wouldn't surprise me if he gets first-team minutes. And let's see what Tenari can do. Feeding it in for Marino. Oh, he'd like to have that one back. Almost became 5-1. We are in the 80th minute. Red Bull 2-4, Charlotte 1, and Marino is shaking his head.
Well, Tenari so tenacious in that final third. Just battling, does a great job finding it wide. And Marino's going to want that back to their near post. But again, you see Tenari, what a difference maker since he's been put into this game.
Every single sub has made an impact for Red Bull 2 in this game. If Tenari comes into the game, he scores a goal. Lucas Staufa comes into the game, he gets his first goal. And here's Marino. He's knocked down by Johnson, and that is a foul. So Red Bull 2 will have possession. You can watch highlights from every game of the 2018 USL season and bonus content from around the league by subscribing to the league's official YouTube channel at youtube.com/USL. Let's see highlights, great saves by this goalie, Evan Lauro. Red Bull 2 boots it out of danger. Nice one touch by Ekra. And this will be a New York possession in the 82nd minute. Marino with a goal. Penalty kick goal by Christian Caceres Jr. Tenari. And then Stauffer for Red Bulls 2. The lone goal, which was the first goal of the game, by Caleb Cato, came in the 23rd minute. Laura will send it a big boot, likely down to the Charlotte end of the pitch. Let's see how hungry Red Bull 2 will be. It wouldn't surprise me. They're going to set Brian White up again. Let's see. Lima, one touch into the box, turn around, and Brian White tried to get a shot off, but was double teamed.
Well, he missed Chris Stroud there, and he knew right away when he missed that pass.
Lima again, knocked aside by Dykstra. Now, he's given up 4 goals, but he's played a terrific game. Total possession by Red Bull 2, and they almost make it 5-1. And who will hit the shot again but Brian White?
Yeah, we probably should give Dykstra a little bit more credit than the scoreline gives him. This could easily be a 6 or 7 goal game here for Red Bull if it wasn't for Dykstra's performance, especially in the first half.
Red Bull 2, depending upon other action this weekend, will have 20 points and tie Charlotte in the standings. And be 3 points out of first place as that one goes wide. FC Cincinnati atop the Eastern Conference, 23 points, and you have Louisville, the defending champs, at 22, and Pittsburgh Riverhounds at 21.
Well, Tenari, again,
You've been saying his name a lot.
Put it out wide and exactly what you want to see. And look at Stroud, just puts his head down and knows that far post is where you want to go. It's where you want to go in terms of a shot, but if you miss the shot, then you know that an outside midfielder should be running to that space, and Moreno didn't miss it by much.
But Dykstra made a nice play there to cutting down the angle, too. So give credit to him there, even though we didn't get a touch on that save. Or a touch on the shot that went wide, I should say. As we enter the 84th minute. Ever since about the 55th minute on, it's been domination by New York Red Bulls 2.
Well, ever the coach, John Wolniak, still up on his feet and making sure that he gets any opportunity to communicate with his players. The last thing he wants to do, at least in this final 6 or 7 minutes is give up any goals. Wants to see the continued great performance defensively by his back line, and obviously Lauro finishing it off.
That is onside. Jorge Herrera. Pollitt's defending. Pollitt gets a piece of the ball.
No, he knew right away that he gave up a PK there, Pollitt.
And Evan Lauro is complaining, but Herrera is going to get a PK here.
He's going to ask for an offsides, Lauro, but we most definitely saw Pollitt. You could see his reaction right away when he left his feet. And we're going to see here if it was a yellow card on Pollitt.
If it is, he's holding the card up in the 85th minute. Yeah, Pollitt gets the yellow in the 85th minute. Now, you're down. If you're up 4-1, you can take a gamble like that. If the score was tied, you think Pollitt would have played that any differently?
And, we're going to see by this replay. I think it looks like Lauro's asking if it was embellishment or offsides. It does look like it's offsides, quite frankly. Really no reason why Pollitt was put into that space. But when he left his feet, it didn't look like he get much of them. And obviously, you can see Herrera kind of embellished it a little bit. And that's partly what Lauro is saying. Combination of a little bit of embellishment and it looked like offsides position as well is why Lauro's communicating with not only the center official but also the linesman asking for a different call. But it is, for better or for worse, it is now a Charlotte team that gets an opportunity to, at least Herrera, to step up, and maybe Karma's out there and Lauro can make a big save here.
Herrera looking for his 6th goal of the season and pulls Charlotte within 2. And he is successful. It comes in the 86th minute. New York Red Bulls 4 and Charlotte Independence now 2. A nice placement by Jorge Herrera, who scored last year for Charlotte against Red Bull 2.
Well, Herrera was quick to try to set the ball up again, but here, just a nice little chip in the middle of the box as Lauro kind of commits to his right-hand side, and you can see there committed a little early and was trying to slow it down, made sure the ball went back to the keeper as Herrera tried to speed it up, and we're now just minutes away, 4 or 5 minutes from hopefully the end of this game and allowing this Red Bull team to get a deserving debut.
Well, you're going to see Charlotte press, and then the Red Bulls may get a break and perhaps make it 5-2. But let's see if Charlotte can pull within 1 here. The drive is there, the talent is there, and they have the possession. Herrera into the box, headed out. Back in it goes. Charlotte possession. Looking for a header in front and knocked down. Evan Lauro punching it to the side. And Armando Marino for New York Red Bulls 2.
We got to give credit to the Charlotte team not giving up, even though the score line suggested maybe they could. But no, now they're getting a little bit more confidence, and they're going to try to finish off this game and make it as scary as possible for this Red Bull team.
Intercepted by Red Bulls 2, midfield. The one-touch passing, it goes right side. Let's see if they try to set up Brian White again. That's White in the left side of the box. It's loose in the box and booted out by Charlotte.
Good job by Stauffer to get forward on that right-hand side. There's plenty of space there, and now you're going to see this team continues to get forward.
And that one goes wide.
Tenari as well. We mentioned his name.
He has been such a force since he came into the second half. Wow.
Yeah, he's definitely been the difference maker for this Red Bull team. Looks like Caceres is cramping up a little bit, and the staff will come out to help support him and try to finish him off since they've made their 3 substitutions.
Slows the game down a little bit. But not that Red Bull 2. I think they'd much rather have possession and get a 5th goal here. Because you have young players that they're more goal hungry. It's it's a healthy thing in a safe without taking too many risks, of course. For Red Bulls 2, 4 goal scorers. Armando Marino, his 6th that came in the 25th minute. Christian Caceres Jr., his first came in a penalty kick in the 60th minute. Andrew Tenari, a minute after he subbed in, scoring in the 62nd minute. That was his 4th. And then the first goal, Lucas Stauffer, he comes into the game and scores in the 75th minute for Charlotte. Cordell Cato getting the first goal of the game. His 6th came in the 23rd minute. And Jorge Herrera on the PK in the 86th minute. That was his sixth goal of the year. As Andrew Dykstra sends it out. Charlotte looking to pull within one. We're in the 89th minute. We will certainly have a few minutes of extra time. Ekra back outside. Setting it up, the Charlotte Independents. Nice defensive play, Red Bull 2.
Good job by Stauffer to win that. Try to maintain him. And
Stroud looks like is knocked out. And that's a foul on Charlotte as we are in the 90th minute.
You know, like seeing those late tackles so late in the game. Quite frankly, any time. And that's why Stroud is asking the center official, maybe that should have been a yellow card.
Not the first time that we've had that this game, but let them play, and Red Bull 2 will take its time.
Looks like Caceres is now up and asking the official to come back in. Well, that there's kind of 11 players finishing off this game for Red Bull.
Charlotte gets the header, and out of bounds it goes. So it'll be a Red Bull 2 throw-in. And the fourth official on the sideline has his placard. I imagine we will have at least 3 minutes and possibly 4 of stoppage time in the second half. Once again, like the first half, they're late in displaying how much is left. And 6 minutes of stoppage. I knew it was going to be a fair amount, but all right, Charlotte has time to get within one. They're deep in their zone here. And Red Bull 2 at the press. Can they boot it out, get the header? Now Red Bull 2 gets the header. And this will go over to Charlotte. 6 minutes of stoppage time. Red Bulls 2, 4. The Charlotte Independents with a pair of goals. Red Bulls 2, should they hold on, will tie Charlotte in the Eastern Conference standings, that very crowded USL Eastern Conference. The header booted out by Politz. And Marino, who's had a strong game offensively and defensively. And safely back to Evan Lauro, who will send it downfield. Intended for Marino. Johnson wins that header. Racing ahead, Ekra in possession. And Red Bull 2 is able to get out of the box. They want to send it upfield. And that's going to be a Red Bull 2 throw-in.
Good defensive play, not only by Tenari, but also Stauffer on that right-hand side.
And wisely sending it down. And again, Red Bull 2 doing what they want to do, slow the game down here, move the ball upfield. That's Stroud, launches it up. And with New York in possession. Stroud will drop it off for Lucas Stauffer, who will remember this game for the rest of his life. Get a goal. It's got to be something for his professional goal. He almost couldn't control himself. Stauffer with the throw-in. And that should be a Charlotte possession. We're about 3 minutes into stoppage time. Charlotte needs a pair to tie. And Joel Johnson, he's played a strong game today for Charlotte. He's going to try to get the ball upfield as far as possible. Red Bull 2 with the header to send it back out to midfield. Downfield for Charlotte. And we get the whistle. I believe there might have been a foul on Red Bull 2, so it'll be Charlotte possession. But meanwhile, seconds tick off the clock. But you know that Herrera is going to try to send it into the box for him to scramble, and for Charlotte, maybe a goal. Headed out by Red Bull 2, kept in and booted out. Stays in. Charlotte with persistence here. They can't mount a sustained offensive thrust. Red Bull 2 in possession. Christian Caceres will safely send it down the pitch and burn more time. Andrew Dykstra will send it back up the pitch. Charlotte's got a gamble here, and Red Bull 2 in the interception. Lima. Great one-touch passing by Red Bull here. And Marino, I believe he's onside. Yes, he is. He sends it back. Christian Caceres Jr. now Lima. And losing his balance was Tenari, but Red Bull 2 able to regain possession. Lima. Smart play right now by New York Red Bull 2. Possession, send it downfield and burn some time. I would say we have about 2 minutes of stoppage left. And Dykstra is, Charlotte likes to bring the ball up instead of Dykstra booting it downfield. There's Kevin Politz for Red Bulls 2 to Christian Caceres Jr. Look at the one-touch passing in midfield. Here's Lima. That's Stelfer on the right side. Excuse me, that's Jared Stroud. Looking for Brian White at the top of the box. Ihan Ekra, number 7, has had a presence out there for Charlotte. New York in possession. And again, to the corner, burning time. It'll be a throw-in for Charlotte. And they got to try to bring the ball upfield. They have not been successful during stoppage time. About a minute and a half to go, you would think, in stoppage. Into the box it goes. Brian White racing after the ball, but a little bit too far for him. Little snake bit tonight, but he's had a terrific game. Passing has certainly improved in the 4 months since the season started. And stealing the ball, Nico De Vera. And it'll be a Red Bull 2 possession. And they'll take their time throwing it in.
Center official looking at his watch, and there it is.
And that is time. We have a final score for the return of New York Red Bulls 2 to MSU Soccer Park in front of an incredibly large crowd here, the largest I think Red Bull 2 has had. New York Red Bulls 2 4, the Charlotte Independence 2. And we'll have highlights, recap in just a minute. This is New York Red Bulls 2, USL Soccer.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
Stars and New York Red Bulls All-Stars. Steve Jolly. New York Red Bulls defeating a rather fine Charlotte Independence team by the score of 4-2, but it was the Independence that scored first in the 23rd minute.
Yeah, this first goal you can see just way too much time. What a good little finish by Cato to put it to the far post.
But then less than 2 minutes later, Red Bulls 2 strike back.
And just like that, this Red Bull team does a good job. Chris Stroud, we've been talking about his name all night, gets it forward, and then a finish off by Moreno to the near post.
A goal scorer's goal. That's how we stood at the end of the first half, 1-1. And then in the second half, a beautiful PK, his first of the year, Christian Caceres Jr.
Yeah, not one of his best games, but Caceres is so talented, and here this PK puts it in the back of net to give the Red Bulls a 2-1 lead.
And then a minute after he came into the game, Andrew Tenari, look at this beautiful passing by Red Bull.
Well, such a great job by Tenari just to win that ball, and great connection. Chris Stroud again connecting Tenari on that back post.
Well deserved. Then the Red Bulls subbed in Lucas Stauffer in the 67th minute, and he will get his first professional goal.
His first goal on his first touch on the evening. You can see bad little clearance with Stauffer with the volley and the pace and power, and puts it behind the keeper Dykstra.
Look at that reaction. He's gonna be playing this
He's a happy
video all
man.
night.
Yeah, he's a happy man.
And then a penalty kick in the 86th minute. Herrera for Charlotte.
Well, Herrera finishing it off, and since Laro tries to slow down the game, but this is a Red Bull team very well deserving of the 4-2 scoreline.
And stats in the game, Red Bull 2, a lot of those shots came in after the 55th minute. Red Bull 2 dominated possession, and you can see that the shots were in favor of the Red Bull. On goal, Red Bull 7-4 over Charlotte. A fair amount of fouls for each team. We had 2 yellows on each team in the game, but could have been more, but neither here nor there at this point. And corners, some nice setups for both teams. Possession only 54 to 46% in favor of Red Bull 2, but it was there about halfway, I should say about 15 minutes into each half, Red Bull 2 dominated.
Yeah, they did, and especially the introduction of Tenari into the lineup has really changed the dynamic of the game. And like I said, a well-deserved win by this Red Bull team.
New York Red Bulls 2 now 5-3-5 in the season, 20 points. Now tied with the Charlotte Independents, who have 20 points. The Charlotte Independents now 6-4-2. The final for the final time, New York Red Bulls 2-4, Charlotte Independents 2. For former MLS All-Star Steve Jolly, this is Bob Gallerstein. Have a terrific evening.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.